The morning sun was just beginning to rise, casting a soft golden light over the tall white pillars of the National Monument. The place was quiet except for the gentle rustling of leaves and the occasional footsteps of early visitors. A thin breeze moved slowly through the trees, carrying the fresh smell of grass and flowers. It was a place where many people came to remember those who had served their country with great courage. The monument stood tall and proud, a symbol of honor and sacrifice. Standing near the entrance was a guard in a crisp, dark uniform. His boots were polished to shine, and his hat sat straight on his head. He stood very still, his back straight, and eyes sharp. His job was important: to protect this place and to show respect for all the brave men and women who had fought for freedom. The guard had been trained to stay focused, no matter what was happening around him. His face showed no emotion, but inside, he felt the weight of the history this place held. As the guard kept watch, a figure appeared at the edge of the path leading to the monument. It was a man walking slowly, but with a strong presence. He wore a simple suit, but there was something different about him, a quiet strength and dignity. People who saw him would later say that he carried the spirit of a hero. This man was well known in the country, not because he sought attention, but because he had done things many people could not imagine. He was a war hero, someone who had faced danger and fear and had done his duty without complaint. The hero walked toward the monument with steady steps. His eyes looked ahead, but his thoughts seemed far away, as if remembering battles fought long ago. Many years had passed since those days, but the memories were still clear to him. He thought about his friends who had not come home, and about the pain of war that stayed even when the fighting stopped. Still, he walked with pride, because he knew he had helped protect the people he loved. As he came closer to the monument, the guard noticed him. The guard's eyes quickly recognized the man's face from pictures and stories he had heard. This was not just any visitor. This was a person who had earned great respect. The guard straightened even more and prepared himself. Although he was trained to show respect to everyone, this moment felt special. The hero stopped a few feet in front of the large flag that waved gently above the monument. The flag was bright and colorful, a symbol of the country's freedom. Many people believed the flag carried the hopes and dreams of all those who had fought to keep the country safe. The hero looked up at the flag, his hand rising slowly and clearly in a salute. His fingers were straight, and his eyes followed the movement with deep meaning. The salute was strong and steady, but it was more than just a gesture. It was a message of respect, gratitude, and remembrance. Visitors nearby watched quietly, some standing still, others whispering softly to each other. They could feel the power of the moment. It was as if time had stopped. The air seemed heavier with meaning, and the monument seemed to glow softly in the morning light. The guard watched closely, his heart beating faster than usual. He felt a sudden rush of pride and emotion, but kept his face calm and serious. He knew that behind that salute was a story of bravery that could never be told fully in words. After the hero's salute, he lowered his hand slowly. His eyes remained on the flag for a moment longer, as if saying goodbye to something very important. Then he turned his head slightly to look at the guard. The guard gave a small nod in return, a silent sign of respect and understanding between two people who shared a deep connection to service. Neither of them spoke, but their eyes told a story of courage, sacrifice, and honor. The visitors around them began to clap softly. The sound was gentle but full of respect. Some wiped tears from their eyes. It was clear that this simple salute had touched many hearts. The guard noticed some young children looking up at the hero with wide eyes, and he hoped they would learn something important from this moment, that courage and respect mattered deeply to her. As the hero moved away from the flag, he walked slowly to a nearby bench. He sat down and looked around at the monument once more. The guard continued his watch, standing tall and proud. He felt a new sense of purpose. He was not just a guard, he was a keeper of memories, a witness to stories of sacrifice that shaped the nation. For a while, the two men stayed close, but silent. The hero seemed to gather his thoughts, and the guard stayed ready, alert to every movement around him. Other visitors began to approach, some quietly thanking the hero, others taking pictures to remember the day. The mood was peaceful but full of respect. It was a moment when strangers became connected by a shared feeling of gratitude. Later, the guard would think about how this morning felt different from any other day. The salute of the war hero had awakened something inside him, a deeper understanding of what it meant to serve. It was not just about wearing a uniform or standing at attention. It was about the sacrifices made by so many, and the quiet strength that keeps a country free. The guard looked up at the flag once more. It fluttered in the breeze, shining brightly in the sun. He thought about the many faces behind that flag, the soldiers, the families, the heroes, and he felt honored to stand there, guarding their memory. The monument was not just stone and metal. It was a living story of courage and respect that would never be forgotten as the morning moved on. The guard and the hero each played their part in this story. The hero had come to pay tribute, and the guard had silently returned it with his steady presence. Together, they created a moment that visitors would remember for a long time, a moment when a simple salute became a powerful symbol of honor. The sun rose higher, and more people began to arrive, filling the monument with quiet voices and soft footsteps. But the memory of that salute stayed in the air like a gentle promise to never forget. The guard knew that each day brought new challenges, but this morning had reminded him why his duty mattered so much. The war hero stood up slowly from the bench. He took one last look at the monument, then turned and walked toward the exit. The guard watched him go, feeling a deep respect in his heart. He knew that moments like this were rare and precious. They showed the true meaning of service and sacrifice. And so the day continued at the monument. The guard returned to his steady watch. The flag waved proudly above, and the story of the war hero's salute began to spread. It was a story not just about one man, but about all who had given so much for their country. It was a story of honor, respect, and the quiet power of a simple gesture. After the war hero's salute, the guard stayed still, watching the flag flutter in the soft morning breeze. The salute was a simple gesture, but for the guard, it carried a deep meaning that reached far beyond the walls of the monument. He thought carefully about what that salute really meant. It was not just a polite way to show respect. It was a symbol full of stories, emotions, and history. The guard's mind traveled back to what he had learned about war and sacrifice. He remembered the stories told by his own grandfather, who had served in the army many years ago. His grandfather had described the fear, the pain, and the courage needed to keep fighting, even when hope seemed lost. The guard had grown up hearing these stories, but standing here now, he felt them more strongly than ever. The salute was a quiet promise made by every soldier who had ever served, a promise to protect the country, no matter the cost. Around him, the visitors moved quietly, sensing the importance of the moment. Many of them had come to remember the heroes who fought in wars, and the salute from the war hero reminded them why those sacrifices mattered so much. Some visitors whispered to each other about the battles and the brave soldiers who had risked everything. A few wiped their eyes, touched by the powerful reminder. The guard thought about how many soldiers had stood where he was standing now. Some long ago, and some more recently. Many of those soldiers had never returned home. Their families waited for them, hoping and praying, sometimes for years. The guard felt a lump in his throat as he imagined the pain of losing someone so close. The salute was a way to honor those losses. It was a way to say thank you without words, a message from one heart to another. Even though the guard had been trained to control his emotions, he felt something stirring inside. His chest tightened, and he could feel a warm sensation near his eyes, but he blinked quickly to hold back tears. He was a man of duty, and he knew that keeping calm was part of his job. Still, the salute had opened a door in his heart. Him that behind every uniform was a story, a person, and a family. The guard thought about the flag again. It was a symbol many people knew, but not everyone understood its true meaning. The flag represented freedom, but freedom came with a price. That price was paid by soldiers who gave their time, their safety, and sometimes their lives. The guard felt proud to be part of this moment where respect was shown so clearly. A soft breeze picked up, and the flag moved gracefully in the wind. The guard's eyes followed its movement, and he remembered the promise soldiers made when they saluted. That promise was to protect not just the flag, but the values and hopes it stood for. It was a promise to keep the country safe and free. The guard realized that the war hero's salute was a reminder to everyone present of that promise. Around him, visitors began to feel the weight of this moment too. Some stood silently with their hands over their hearts. Others bowed their heads in quiet respect. The children in the crowd looked on with curiosity, sensing that something important was happening. The guard hoped that they would carry this lesson with them, that respect, courage, and sacrifice were real and worth. Remembering the guard's thoughts moved to his own family. He remembered how his parents had encouraged him to serve his country with honor. They had taught him about bravery and kindness. Standing here, he felt he was honoring not only the war hero, but also his family's history. This moment connected him to something bigger than himself. Visitors began to take out small flags or pins, symbols of support and remembrance. Some whispered prayers or shared stories of loved ones who had served. The guard watched quietly, feeling a sense of unity. Growing around him, the salute had sparked more than just respect. It had created a feeling of togetherness. People from different backgrounds and ages were connected by one powerful idea: the value of service. The guard also noticed the careful way the war hero had carried himself. He had not shown pride in a loud way, but rather a quiet, deep respect. This made the guard think about how true strength often comes in silence. The war hero's salute was not about showing off. It was about remembering. It was about honoring those who could not be here anymore. The guard remembered his training. Respect was shown through small, simple actions. A salute, a bow, standing still. These were ways to show honor without words. The war hero's salute was the perfect example of this. It was a moment full of meaning, even though it only lasted a few seconds. But those seconds left a strong mark on everyone watching. As the crowd slowly started to move again, the guard stayed focused. He watched as some visitors stopped by the memorial to leave flowers or notes. They knelt softly, touching the ground with gentle hands. The guard felt that these small acts were all part of the same message, the message of respect and gratitude. The salute had begun. The guard thought about how easy it was for people to forget these moments in the busy world of today. Life moved fast, and many did not stop to think about the sacrifices that made their freedom possible. But here, in this quiet place, surrounded by stories and memories, the guard saw something different. He saw hope that respect and gratitude would live on. The guard looked at the war hero again. The man was still sitting quietly on the bench, looking peaceful but thoughtful. The guard wished he could speak with him to hear more about the experiences behind that salute, but he knew that some stories were too deep for words. Sometimes, respect was shown best through silence and presence. The guard also thought about the importance of the moment for the younger generation. He hoped that children who had watched the salute would grow up with a strong understanding of courage and honor. He wanted them to learn that being a hero was not just about fighting battles, but also about respect, kindness, and remembering those who came before. The wind shifted, and the flag rose higher, waving proudly against the clear blue sky. The guard felt a quiet pride swell in his chest. He was part of this story now, even if only for a brief moment. The salute of the war hero had reminded him of why he had chosen this path to serve and to honor. A few visitors started to ask questions quietly among themselves. They wondered about the war hero's experiences and what he might have faced. The guard listened from a distance, but did not join in. He felt that some things were sacred and should be respected in silence. As the day moved on, more people came and went. But the memory of the salute stayed fresh in the guard's mind. It had opened his eyes to the deeper meaning of his work. He realized that every small action mattered. Every salute, every moment of respect was part of a bigger story. The guard noticed a young boy nearby holding his father's hand. The boy looked up at the monument with wide eyes and asked quietly, "Who was that man?" The father smiled and whispered, "He is a hero who helped keep us safe." The guard watched the boy's face light up with wonder. He hoped that one day, the boy would understand the true meaning of courage and honor. The guard's thoughts returned to the war hero's salute. It was a simple act, but it carried the weight of many stories of bravery, sacrifice, and hope. The guard felt lucky to witness such a moment. It reminded him that respect was a powerful force. It could connect strangers and heal hearts. As the afternoon sun began to warm the monument, the guard stood a little taller, felt stronger, ready to face whatever challenges came his way. The salute had sparked something inside him, a deeper respect for the past and a hopeful vision for the future. The guard understood that the salute was not just for the hero or for the soldiers. It was for everyone who believed in courage, freedom, and peace. It was a reminder that even in a busy world, moments of quiet respect could shine brightly and inspire others. With a deep breath, the guard looked at the flag one last time. It waved proudly, shining in the sunlight. The guard knew that this flag, and the salute beneath it, carried a promise to remember, to respect, and to honor those who gave their all. The guard returned his attention to his duty, standing, steady and strong. The war hero's salute had reminded him that behind every uniform, every flag, and every memorial, there was a story waiting to be told, a story of sacrifice and hope that would never be forgotten. The guard stood quietly as the morning slowly turned into afternoon. The warm sunlight touched the monument and made the white stones shine. Around him, visitors came and went, some stopping to look closely at the names and pictures of those who had served. But the guard's attention was still fixed on the war hero and the meaning of the salute they had just shared. The war hero sat on a nearby bench, resting for a moment. His face was calm but thoughtful. His eyes looked at the flag waving above the monument, but inside, he was thinking about the battles he had fought and the friends he had lost. The salute he had given was not just a gesture, it was a memory, a story, and a promise all at once. The guard felt a strong urge to do something more than just stand and watch. He wanted to show the war hero that his salute was noticed and deeply respected. He wanted to honor not only this hero, but all the brave men and women who had served the country. Without thinking much, the guard slowly moved into a more formal stance. He raised his hand and gave a crisp, clear salute. But this time it was different. This salute was full of feeling. The guard's eyes glistened with unshed tears and his heart felt heavy with emotion. He was saluting not just a man, but a story of courage, pain, and sacrifice. The visitors nearby noticed the guard's tribute. A hush fell over the crowd as they watched the guard honor the war hero in a way that seemed both personal and powerful. The war hero saw the guard's salute and paused. His eyes met the guard's, and in that moment, there was a silent conversation between them. No words were spoken, but both understood the deep respect they shared. The hero gave a small nod as if to say, "Thank you." The guard held the salute a little longer, showing his gratitude for the hero's service and all that it meant. The visitors around them began to clap softly. Moved by the scene, some wiped tears from their eyes. The guard's emotional salute had touched their hearts as well. It was a rare moment of pure respect and connection, something that went beyond words or ceremonies. The guard felt a strong sense of pride, but also humility. He knew that he was only a small part of a much larger story. After lowering his hand, the guard stepped forward slightly and bowed his head. It was a simple act, but it carried great meaning. The bow was a sign of honor, a way to show deep respect for the sacrifices made by the war hero and many others like him. The visitors followed suit, many bowing their heads or placing their hands over their hearts. The war hero smiled faintly. He was moved by the guard's tribute. It was rare to see such honest emotion from someone trained to be so formal and controlled. The hero knew that this tribute came from a place of true understanding, a place where respect was not just a duty, but a feeling from the heart. As the applause died down, the hero slowly rose from the bench. He walked over to the guard and extended his hand. The guard took it firmly. They shook hands, a gesture of friendship and shared respect. The hero's grip was strong, and the guard felt the weight of many years of experience in it. They stood together for a moment, looking at the flag and the monument. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with unspoken thoughts. Both men knew they were part of something greater than themselves. They were connected by the stories of sacrifice and bravery that the monument represented, the guard thought, about how this moment would stay with him forever. He felt honored to have witnessed the salute and to have returned it with his own tribute. He hoped that others would see this and understand how important it was to honor those who serve. The guard's heart was full, and he knew that his duty was more than just a job, it was a calling. The hero spoke softly, thanking the guard for his tribute. He said that moments like this gave him hope for the future, that younger generations would remember the sacrifices of the past and continue to honor them. The guard nodded, feeling proud that he could be part of this. Other visitors began to approach, some wanting to shake the hero's hand or say a quiet thank you. The hero greeted each person warmly, listening to their stories and sharing a few of his own. The guard watched quietly, feeling a sense of community growing. This small gathering had become a place of respect and remembrance. A woman with tears in her eyes came forward and said, "Your service means so much to all of us. Thank you for your courage." The hero smiled gently and replied, "Thank you for remembering. It is the memory of people like you that keeps us strong." The guard noticed how the hero's words touched everyone. The hero was humble and kind, someone who carried his past with dignity but without pride. The guard felt lucky to have seen this side of a true war hero. As the day went on, the guard and the hero continued to share moments of quiet respect. The hero spoke about the importance of remembering history and the lessons it taught. The guard listened carefully, feeling inspired to share these lessons with others. The visitors took pictures of the monument, but also of the hero and the guard standing together. They wanted to capture this moment of respect and honor. The guard felt proud but also a little shy. He was not used to being the center of attention, but he understood why this moment mattered. The guard thought about his own family again. He knew they would be proud of the way he had honored the war hero. He also thought about the many soldiers who were still serving around the world, hoping they would be remembered too. The guard wished he could tell every visitor the stories behind the monument, that each name on the stone was a life full of hope, courage, and love. As the sun began to lower in the sky, the guard and the hero stood side by side for a while. Longer, the hero looked tired but peaceful. The guard felt a deep sense of calm. Together, they had created a memory of respect that would last far beyond this day. The hero finally said goodbye, thanking the guard once more. He promised to return someday, to continue honoring those who served. The guard nodded and saluted, again, this time with a smile. It was a simple goodbye, but it carried the weight of friendship and respect. The guard watched as the hero walked away, his figure slowly blending into the crowd. He felt a quiet pride in knowing he had been part of something special. The salute and the tribute had become a symbol of honor, connecting past and present. Visitors continued to come and go, but the guard stayed strong and steady. The flag waved proudly above him, shining in the fading light. The guard knew that the stories of courage and sacrifice were alive in this place, and in the hearts of those who remembered. The day ended with a feeling of hope. The guard believed that respect and gratitude could bring people together and heal wounds. He hoped that everyone who saw the salute and the tribute would carry the message forward to honor, to remember, and to be grateful as the stars began to appear in the night sky. The guard took one last look at the monument. He felt honored to stand there, guarding the memory of so many heroes. The salute and the tribute had become more than a moment, they were a promise to never forget. After the emotional tribute, the war hero and the guard shared a quiet moment, each feeling the weight of what had just passed between them. The hero, with his calm but thoughtful expression, looked around the monument as if seeing it with new eyes. The guard, standing tall and steady, felt a growing respect not just for the hero, but for every person who had served their country. Slowly, the hero began to speak, his voice soft but clear. He shared small stories from his past, stories of faraway places, difficult battles, and the friends he had made along the way. The guard listened carefully, understanding that each word carried years of experience pain, and courage. The stories were not just about war. They were about life, hope, and the strength to keep going, even in the hardest times. The hero talked about the day he left home to serve his country. He remembered the fear he felt, but also the pride. He spoke of the long days and nights in strange lands, the sound of distant explosions, and the quiet moments when he and his comrades found comfort in each other's company. The guard could imagine the scenes, feeling the hero's courage and determination as if it were his own. The hero also spoke of loss, the friends who never returned, the families that had to say goodbye, and the heavy feeling that stayed long after the fighting ended. The guard felt a deep sadness, but also respect for the hero's honesty. These stories were not easy to tell, but they needed to be heard. They were a reminder of the real cost of peace. As the hero spoke, visitors nearby listened quietly. Some sat on benches, others stood with heads bowed. The stories touched their hearts, making them think of their own families and the sacrifices made by others. Children looked up at the hero, wide-eyed and curious. Learning about bravery and kindness in a way no book could teach, the guard felt proud to be part of this moment. He realized that this meeting was more than a chance encounter. It was a bridge between generations, between those who had served in the past and those who remembered and honored them today. The hero's stories were a gift, helping the guard and the visitors understand what it truly meant to serve. The hero smiled gently as he finished one story, then asked the guard about his own life. The guard shared how he had come to work at the monument, his sense of duty, and the respect he held for all soldiers. He spoke of the pride he felt every day standing guard, knowing that he was protecting a place filled with memory and honor. Their conversation was simple but meaningful. Both men understood that respect was not just about words or ceremonies, but about listening, sharing, and remembering together. The guard thought about how many other stories were waiting to be told, stories of courage, hope, and sacrifice. From people all around the world, visitors nearby began to join the conversation, asking questions and sharing their own family stories. An elderly woman spoke softly about her father, who had served long ago. A young man talked about his brother currently in the military. The group grew, connected by shared respect and gratitude. The hero listened with kindness and interest. He offered words of encouragement and hope, reminding everyone that service was not just about fighting, but about caring for each other and working for peace. The guard felt a warm glow of pride, knowing that these words would inspire others. As the afternoon sun began to lower, the group slowly began to disperse. The hero and the guard stood together once more, feeling a deep bond that went beyond words. The hero thanked the guard again for his respect and kindness. The guard replied with a firm nod, promising to keep honoring the memory of all who served. The hero prepared to leave. But before going, he took one last look at the monument, his eyes filled with quiet gratitude. The guard watched as the hero walked slowly toward the exit, a figure of strength and humility. After the hero left, the guard stayed for a moment longer. He looked around at the visitors, the flag waving above, and the monument standing tall. He felt a renewed sense of purpose. This place was more than stone and metal. It was a living story of courage and respect. The guard thought about how this day had changed him. He had learned that true honor came from understanding and kindness, from sharing stories, and from paying tribute not only through actions but through heart. He knew that he would carry this lesson with him always, as the sky turned soft shades of pink and orange. The guard began his evening patrol. He moved with quiet confidence, knowing that he was part of a tradition much larger than himself. The salute and tribute from earlier were now part of his own story. Visitors continued to arrive, some staying late to pay respects. The guard welcomed them all, sharing a gentle smile and a nod of recognition. He hoped that each visitor would leave with a deeper understanding of sacrifice and courage. That night, the guard reflected on the day's events. He thought about the power of simple acts of salute, a bow, a shared story. These small moments could touch hearts and change lives. He knew that the war hero's salute had sparked something important, a wave of respect and remembrance that would ripple far beyond the monument. The guard also thought about the future. He hoped that younger generations would carry on the tradition of respect and honor. He believed that by remembering the past, people could build a better, more peaceful world. As he prepared to rest, the guard looked at the stars shining above. He felt connected to the many heroes who had looked up at the same sky, fighting for a future they might never see. The guard whispered a silent promise to keep their memories alive. The next morning would bring new challenges, new visitors, and new moments of respect. But the guard knew that the spirit of the war hero's salute and the emotional tribute would live on. They were a reminder that courage, honor, and kindness were never forgotten. The monument stood strong, a beacon of hope and memory. The guard stood beside it, ready to serve and protect. Together, they kept the story alive, a story of sacrifice, respect, and the quiet power of a simple salute. The sun was setting behind the monument, painting the sky with soft colors of orange and pink. The gentle breeze carried a quiet peace over the place. The guard stood tall and steady, his eyes watching the flag waving gently in the last light of day. The events of the day stayed clear in his mind: the war hero's salute, the emotional tribute, and the stories shared. Each moment had left a deep mark on his heart. The guard knew this day was special. It was not just about the ceremony or the visitors. It was about something much bigger. It was about respect for the brave men and women who had served, for their sacrifices, and for the peace that others now enjoyed. He felt honored to be part of that respect, to stand as a silent witness to their courage. As the monument grew quiet and the last visitors left, the guard thought about the stories he had heard. The hero's words about battles, friendship, and loss had opened his eyes. He realized that behind every name on the monument was a life full of dreams, love, and sacrifice. These stories were not just history. They were a living memory that needed to be kept alive. The guard looked around the empty monument and felt a strong sense of duty. It was his job to protect this place, but it was also his responsibility to carry the message of respect forward. He thought about how small acts of salute, a moment of silence, a shared story could inspire to us others and keep the memory of sacrifice alive for future generations. The guard remembered the emotional salute he had given to the war hero earlier. That day, that salute had been different from any he had given before. It was full of feeling, a tribute from one man to another. He knew that this moment had connected him to something greater, a bond between all who served and those who honored their service. As night fell, the guard stood beneath the stars, feeling peaceful but alert. The monument was quiet now, but its meaning was loud and clear in his heart. The flag still waved proudly, a symbol of freedom and hope. The guard thought about the many heroes who had looked up at the same flag, standing strong in difficult times. The guard knew that this story would spread beyond the monument. The salute and the tribute had touched many hearts. People would remember the day they saw respect and honor in action. They would carry that feeling with them, sharing it with others, and inspiring new acts of kindness and gratitude. The guard also thought about the future. He hoped that young people would learn from this story, that they would understand the value of courage, sacrifice, and respect. He believed that remembering the past was the best way to build a peaceful and strong future. Before he left, the guard took one last look at the monument. The names engraved on the stone seemed to shine softly in the moonlight. He felt a deep connection to those names and the stories they held, promised silently to keep their memory alive, to honor their courage every day as he walked away. The guard felt a quiet strength inside him. The day's events had changed him in a way he could not fully explain. The war hero's salute and the emotional tribute had shown him the true meaning of service. It was not just about bravery on the battlefield, but about respect, kindness. God. The guard smiled softly, knowing that this story was part of a larger story of honor that would continue for generations to come. He looked forward to the next day, ready to serve, to watch, and to keep the flame of respect burning bright.